got a lot to talk about today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, we're looking at a slowed down version of this video of this anomalous object in Mexico. It makes direction changes, as you just saw. It looks like a disc or a cylinder-shaped UFO. Really interesting sighting of whatever the heck this thing is. And it's at a really interesting location, too. It's over this location, which is El Tepozteco. Got that pretty close. El Tepozteco is an archaeological site in the Mexican state of Morelos. It consists of a small temple to the Aztec god of the alcoholic beverage pulque. Yeah, interesting. So this is a UFO seen over an Aztec temple. There's this further, proof of connections between the ancient world and UFOs, or are UFOs just everywhere, and it happened to be over this temple. Either way, a great sighting of an anomalous object doing a direction change over a cool Aztec temple to the god of beer. Meanwhile, another psionic asset from Skywatcher has come forward. His name is Jordan Jozak, and he claims to not only be a psionic asset of Skywatcher, Jake Barber's team, that's luring or summoning or inviting UFOs in and then trying to get scientifically peer-reviewed data on them. At least that's the goal of Skywatcher. Well, Jordan, not just a psionic asset, but he's been in this since he was a kid. He says he was one of the victims or recruits, whatever you want to call it, of the GATE program, which we've been hearing more and more about over the last year or so. The control group program where they recruit children to develop their psychic abilities so they can interact with alien technology as well as the beings themselves. And he says, yeah, if we're going to learn about UFOs and deal with this, we have to face some uncomfortable truths.
If we desire disclosure as a nation, there are very uncomfortable truths regarding the past programmatic nature of the program itself. And quite frankly, I didn't ask for any of this. I was scouted within the school system through the Gifted and Talented Education Network. In 2005, I began a relationship with a psychologist who would come into my school district, and I would begin to become separated from the rest of my classmates.
Yeah, it sounds kind of like he was groomed and, then put into this program, this GATE program. So I'll let you watch his full video on his Twitter channel, and of course I'll link to it before. Really, really interesting information, and I am very glad that he's coming forward. It's very disturbing that there are these programs out there that we've been hearing more and more about, and hopefully we'll get more insight into those programs, where they are today, what they're doing, how long has this stuff been going on, what horrible things have been happening. Jordan does allude to some of that. So, yeah, I'll let you watch the full video at your leisure, but thank you, Jordan, for coming forward and speaking your truth. Meanwhile, this gentleman, Kevin Keene, claims to have audio capture of Bigfoot. I find his testimony overall very compelling. It's on A Flash of Beauty, Bigfoot Revealed. He seems very credible and very genuine. He talks about, gaining slowly the trust of this clan of Bigfoot, and even psychically communicating with them, which is what you get often or sometimes anyway with these Bigfoot encounters. And over years, he developed this relationship with this one particular Bigfoot clan, and they were talking to him. And now their speech was pretty basic. Their psychic communication seemed pretty simple. Me male, have female. Do you have a female? That kind of thing. Which is interesting, and that's kind of what you get with Bigfoot researchers, is that they say there's a range of intelligence in these beings, which is weird, but that's the way it seems to be, I guess. Anyway, but getting to his audio, I didn't find the audio particularly compelling, but you tell me what you think. But I did find his overall testimony very compelling, and I think that he's a truth teller, and again, telling his truth and sharing his genuine experiences. But here's what he had to say and share about the audio, and I'm not going to play all of it, but here's part of it.
To him, but I never got anything like that. It's always just a couple of words here and there. But the interesting part about it is, if you understand how some of the tribes in Africa will speak, and they have the clicks and pops when they're talking, this language that these forest people are speaking in this area, they have that tied into their language. And, so you'll hear a word and it's got the clicks and pops mixed into it. And it took a couple of years for me, going through this audio to even understand that that's what was going on. You hear about, they're clacking rocks together, and it's just my opinion that that's not what they're doing, because what I'm getting on the audio recorder is you hear a click, and then a little farther away you hear another click, and you can tell it's two that are communicating back and forth, and they're doing this with these clicks, and it's a metallic, when it's right next to the microphone, it is a loud metallic type click. And so I just kept doing the audio recording, and I've got some really phenomenal stuff recorded. I even have them speak in English. It's very quiet, and you can tell it's a female. She's saying, "I'm working, Kevin," and it's very faint because it's not right next to the mic, the audio recorder, but there's no mistaking what it is.
Yeah, really interesting stuff, and I'll link to it, and I encourage you to go watch the full thing. And now about the I'm working Kevin line. If he hadn't told me I'm working Kevin, I don't think I would have heard that. It's kind of one of those audio tricks where if somebody tells you what it says, you're going to hear that. But if they told you it said something different, you might hear that as well. Now, maybe that's what he hears. His name is Kevin, and he might be looking for that. I'm not quite hearing that personally, but let me know if you do. To me, it almost sounds more paranormal, like the kind of thing you get in a ghost hunt. These weird noises, they can be interpreted in different ways. So it might be something like that's going on. But overall, I found his testimony really interesting. I'll link to it below and check it out. Yeah, speaking of the woo of psychic abilities and Bigfoot, stuff like that, the telepathy tapes is dropping their season 2, or they're starting their season 2. So go be sure to check that out. I find a lot of value in the telepathy tapes, and I think it's cluing a lot of people in to these amazing abilities that, not just autistic children have, but that we all have. Meanwhile, Uri Geller has talked about receiving an artifact from an alien that John Lennon gave him. Well, here's John Lennon talking about a UFO encounter.
Over here, up there, I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river. It wasn't a helicopter, it wasn't a balloon, and it was so near.
And it looked what, sort of round, white, luminescent, and silent?
Silent, and it looked dark, like black or grey in the middle, and had white lights, just looked like light bulbs, just going off, on, blink, 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 round the bottom, and on top was a red light.
That's really interesting. John Lennon seems to have been an experiencer, even interacting with beings, being given an artifact by them. By the way, Uri says that he's always refused to have that artifact examined, because if John Lennon was shining him on, he didn't want to know. I can't fault him for that, I guess. But I don't think John Lennon was shining him on. I think John Lennon was a UFO experiencer. Meanwhile, Jonathan Davies, who's another UFO experiencer, says next week has the potential to be big. For any new followers, I am a lifelong experiencer. In 2010, me and my family witnessed for 1 hour a UFO landing. Yeah, here are a couple of photos I took, and one of me revisiting the location in South Wales. Yeah, look at that. That's crazy. What is that? Looks like a DNA strand almost. Is that supposed to be a craft? UFOs are so weird. Anyway, but there you go. Another thing right around the corner that's going to be really big, guys. Now, I say that jokingly. I'm looking forward to whatever he has to drop. So, yeah, I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on that story. Speaking of big things right around the corner, Jay Anderson says, you know the guy who predicted Trump's assassination attempt with creepy levels of accuracy? And I don't know if you've seen this, but yeah, I've seen this guy making the rounds, or these videos resurfaced after the attempt. And yeah, it was creepily accurate. Well, Jay says he has another prediction, and it involves an alien mothership over the Vatican. Okay, well, let's give a listen.
I saw these major alien ship, and it flies over the Vatican, and it goes over the Mayan temples down in Mexico. And I said, Lord, is there two of these? Because I keep praying about this. And he said, no, it's just one. And that's what's going to make everybody freak out, because they're going to see it moving across the ocean. You understand? It's going to be something that's going to be on TV. It's going to move across the ocean. And people are going to freak out in the days ahead. Then I saw little bitty ships coming out of this mothership that were balls of light. And it wasn't a real ship. It was demonic looking light that was traveling around causing confusion in our skies. You say, Brandon, that sounds way out there. Yeah, it is. It was way out there to me. I didn't even want to talk about it, but I'm instructed to. You say, well, Brandon, that sounds like you're on something. Well, no, folks, I'm just here to warn you. I'm just here to warn you. And as wild out there as a sound, fearful sights you will see that will bring you to your knee. I'm here to warn you. The enemy is not playing fair with trying to deceive people with what's coming. He's going to throw all the curveballs he can to try to deceive the nations. When the Antichrist steps on the scene and he says, hey, we have a solution for all the problems in the days ahead. I have peace. I'm going to bring peace. I'm going to bring in prosperity. I'm going to do all this. But all you have.
Okay, well, I don't have much faith in the whole Antichrist story. I'm not a Christian, although I did have a what I believe to be a Jesus experience. So I think I'm a believer in Jesus. So, but I also believe in a lot of things outside the Christian religion. I'm more of a spiritualist, I guess you could say. But that doesn't mean that he hasn't tapped into some interesting information, this guy. Now, I don't know what his accuracy rating is, so if you do, let me know in the comments below. But there you go, alien motherships over the Vatican, I guess, in the days ahead. It's interesting that he just talked about, I think he said Mayan temples, but we just saw a UFO over an Aztec temple. Kind of interesting. Getting back to some more grounded UFO news, Jeremy Corbell says that David Grush believes UFO whistleblower Dylan Borland.
David Grush does believe Dylan. And I can tell you that personally because David Grush, and I don't think we've talked about this, George, but he was part of the vetting process with all of the witnesses that we brought forward. I wanted a second set of eyes on people to say, is this, from your knowledge, is this worthy of them going under oath in front of Congress? And David and Dylan had, I introduced them on a deeper level. They had never met. Of course, Chuck McCullough and Dave did encourage him to come forward right after David Grush testified to say, if you've got something, go to the ICIG. But they had never substantially met. And I facilitated that during this vetting process. So somebody had asked, does David Grush believe him? We haven't heard from him. And yeah, I'd say he does believe him because he was part of the vetting process of Dylan and a lot of other people were. And Dylan was considered worthy of talking before Congress.
I guess that makes sense. And David Grush was working for Eric Burleson as a congressional staffer, helping to facilitate the UFO hearing that Dylan Borland testified in. So it makes perfect sense that he'd be part of the process of vetting Dylan. And he met him personally, and he believes Dylan, which is really interesting. It adds further weight to Dylan's testimony, seeing this giant UFO at Langley. This weird light that this huge triangle, superimposed itself over, or it became a giant triangle, right outside the NASA hangar at Langley. Really interesting testimony. It was cool that David is helping to corroborate that, or at least vet the guy that's giving us this information. Meanwhile, DT sent me this really cool orb video. He's got a couple of them that he sent me. I think they were taken maybe a year apart. But yeah, okay. So we see this bright white light in the sky. I'm going to go to the more anomalous part when it winks out of existence. So it's just bobbing along, doing its orb thing, whatever orbs do when orbs do what they do. Just going through the sky, and then you'll see it kind of just wink out of existence. All right, wait for it. Yeah, it's starting to fade. And then poof, it's just gone. Is it turning on a cloaking device? Is it going into another dimension? Is it just turning off its light so we can't see it? What is it doing? And yeah, like I said, Dylan has a couple of these that he sent me. Excuse me, DT. DT has a couple of these that he sent me. I've got Dylan Borland on the brain. But yeah, DT sent me a couple of these, and I'll link to his channel. And I encourage you to go check it out. But you see this bright, luminous object just drifting through the sky. And, it's not a balloon. It's not a bug or a bird. It does kind of look like a balloon, but balloons don't wink out of existence, as far as I know. If you know of a balloon that winks out of existence, let me know. You never know. But yeah, this was in 24, and the one we just saw was captured in 25. So a year apart, I guess, more or less, seeing these orbs. Great capture of these whatever they are, whatever orbs are. Are they craft of some sort? Are they vehicles? Are they plasma beings? Near-death experiences, sometimes people will become orbs on the other side. They'll realize they don't have a body, and they're just a big round ball. But they're happy, and they feel very free, and all that kind of good stuff. So, could some of these things be spirits? What is that? What are orbs? What is this orb? And is it revealing itself deliberately to DT as some sort of, disclosure, initiative, right? Is it trying to show itself, to let us know through DT that they exist? Or maybe this is just for DT's eyes alone. And he just happened to get it on camera. Let me know what you think, and thank you, DT, for sending me this great footage. Neil also sent me some terrific footage of an orb. Really interesting object here. Thank you, Neil. And again, I'll link to his channel in the comments below. But look at this orb. He says it wouldn't let him focus on it. Every time he tried to focus on it, the camera would go blurry, which is interesting. Sometimes they want you to get them on camera. Sometimes I guess they don't. And this was definitely one of the latter category, which is frustrating because I would like to see that thing. It looks like it might have some interesting features. Maybe not just a ball of light, but maybe has, something else going on there. But yeah, it's a great capture of a daytime sighting of something that looks very anomalous to me. I don't think that's a balloon. I don't think it's a cloud. I think that's something, pretty interesting going on there. And I'll link to his channel below, and thanks, Neil. Let me know what you think about it all as we admire this tree made out of gold. Well, its leaves are 24 karat gold. This is in the Wind Palace in China. Check out this amazing, crazy-ass tree. All right, let me know what you think about this tree of gold and everything else covered today in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support the channel, grab a coffee mug or a t-shirt or a hoodie in the merch store. Become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really do appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Also, channel members frequently get to see videos hours ahead of everybody else. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.